It's finally happened, right? Finally, the Warriors have gotten gay. But before we talk about that, let's talk about this Damian Lillard trade because it's something that's been kind of hanging over the league the entire offseason, this cat and mouse game between the Blazers and the Heat. Who else? Is Toronto leveraging all this stuff up? Turns out Dame Lillard is going to the Milwaukee Bucks and is pairing with Giannis. Is this the greatest duo since Steph KD? I don't know about all that. Especially when you consider where they're at in their careers. But it was a 3-team trade. The Phoenix Suns, who we're going to talk about that too, because I'm not very pleased about that. But let's start off with the pairing of Dame and Giannis. Now, I understand why Milwaukee did it, right? Because reportedly, Giannis, like low-key, has one foot out the door, right? He's kind of all of a sudden said, hey, I got to do what's best for me. And then if the roster's trending down, new coach, right? So you understand Milwaukee was like, hey, we got to take a swing here, right? You can't blame them for that. At the same time, I think if Giannis was signed to a longer deal, his contract wasn't coming up and there wasn't the threat of him leaving so soon, I don't think they do this. I really don't. Like in a vacuum, in a box, Dame Lillard, yes, is a better franchise player than Jrue Holiday, who's not really a franchise player, right? He's kind of a superstar role player, right? A second-tier guy, right? But fit, right? To me, I don't love the fit. I really don't love the fit. One, Dame can't guard his own shadow, right? Let's get that out of the way, right? This is not something 10 years into your career, all of a sudden you're going to start defending. You're going to start fighting through screens, setting screens, making hustle. It's not who Dame is, right? Secondly, Dame wants and needs the ball all the time. He's never shown the ability to play off the ball and really, you can say him and CJ shared the ball, but Dame was always option one and kind of option B, right? CJ would come and do his thing. And I think that was more of a credit to McCollum working off Dame and being such a good spot scorer, isolation scorer. But now, we know how fast Giannis wants to play and he wants the ball. And so offensively, yeah, you get the spacing, you get the big shot maker at the end of games, right? That would be the big thing is, as amazing as Giannis has been and as accomplished as he is in his career, I don't know about you, but you don't really want the ball in his hands in a late game situation because of the free throw shooting and the decision making isn't great, right? And so now you have that closer. You've got Dame time in the final 2 minutes, and that is a spooky thing. There's no doubt about it. Again, though, you're losing your best perimeter defender in a guy that fit in around Giannis, right? The fit was so good. Buck fans can say, well, he said he was going to retire in a few years, and we'll talk about Jrue here in a second. But I don't love the fit, but I understand the gamble and the risk Milwaukee is willing to take trying to appease Giannis and keep this thing rolling. Now, before we move into the other things, Underdog Fantasy, you see the code Alchemy. Sign up. That's a great way to support me right now. As you can see, there's no ads being run on this through YouTube. I've been demonetized for I don't know why, but you can really help the channel by signing up and using my code. And I'll leave the link in the description and I'll pin a comment. If you want to join my basketball fantasy leagues that I'm going to be starting here on Underdog Fantasy, leave a reply with where I give you the code and I will send you an invite because I'm going to start several leagues here before the season starts. So we can interact, have some fun, talk a little trash. It'll be fun. Let's move on to what Portland got in this haul, right? Because they were holding out. They didn't want Tyler Hero. They didn't, is there some spite in this move? Did Portland and Miami become on bad terms here? You send them east to their rival. But here is what the Blazers are standing with right now. You got Jrue Holiday, who you just talked about his impact and fit with Milwaukee. DeAndre Ayton is finally out of Phoenix. And some cat I've never even heard of, some second-round pick who I'm assuming is a salary filler. So you get Ayton and Holiday. You imagine they're going to keep Ayton because Nurkic went out in this deal. We'll get to that. But Ayton fits their timeline, a fresh start for him with some young guys where maybe he can feel more empowered and more of a leader, right? Not just like little bro like he was in Phoenix. But here's the interesting thing. Andrew Wojnarowski quickly reported after the initial deal, Portland is engaging all contenders on a Jrue Holiday trade, right? Let me add, because I know this is important in today's game. They also got draft picks. They got the Bucks 29 unprotected first and 2028 pick swap. So they got 2 firsts with the swap and Ayton and Holiday. But apparently Holiday's on the move. They don't have plans of keeping Holiday because, frankly, it's kind of the same situation with Dame where he's, at a different point in his career and he would block the young guards they have from more opportunity. So that brings me to the Warriors. That brings us back home, Dub Nation, because I had suggested this in the summer. I don't know what video it was. You can go back and look. But I was like, hey, man, what if we could peel Jrue Holiday off Milwaukee? Like, would y'all send Kuminga to Milwaukee? Because the writing was on the wall before there was any consideration of them getting Dame. It was like you looked at their roster. Bud was out. Jrue aging, Lopez aging, and Giannis, they had to freshen some things up. And so I had suggested, hey, can we get Jrue off them, who is on the same timetable as Steph and Clay and Dre? And now it seems like there's a possibility, right? If they're going to flip him, you imagine they want more young assets, right? Chris Paul would be the salary switch with Jrue Holiday. You'd send Chris Paul to Portland and understanding, one, he could mentor Scoot if he's willing to. They could, but he's an expiring contract, so they're dumping that. The question is, what else would Portland want? Would they want Kuminga? Would they want Moody? Maybe they like one of the rookies now in Trace Jackson or Podziemski, and you assume they'd want more draft capital. And so, Dub Nation, I'm not going to ask you, would you be willing to trade Chris Paul for Jrue Holiday? I think that's a no-brainer, just as far as the fit goes, because Jrue is a guy that can defend 1 through 4, but, ideally 1 through 3. So defensively, and then he doesn't have to be on the ball, so he can slot in around all of our guys. That the question of fit with Chris Paul would no longer be there with Jrue Holiday. And he would not to mention probably be the second best defender on the team. Right? Or, that's an argument because you think about Wiggins, Draymond, he'd be right there, right? But the question is, what else would you be willing to give up to Portland to bring in Jrue Holiday? I'm assuming most of our draft capital, right? Would you be willing to give up Kuminga? That would be a tough pill to swallow. Also, considering you'd see him 4 times a year. And Portland, now you've got Scoot, you've got Shaden, you'd have Kuminga, Ayton. They would have all of a sudden maybe the best young nucleus in the league. So I don't know if you want to load them up with that, but they only have so many more swings at the plate in the Steph Curry era. And Jrue Holiday fits the description to a T as far as what they could do and how he wants to play. And so there's going to be conversations. Well, who else is going to offer? Who else would be in pursuit of Jrue Holiday? I heard someone say Toronto. The Lakers are going to throw their name in the hat. Who else? I don't know. But I think that's what we got to watch next. I know that there, the story before this broke was the Warriors have signed Rudy Gay to a 1-year deal. And what I'm waiting for, we'll talk about that. I'll drop another video because in that, Woj, who's dropping the bombs today, he said he's going to compete in training camp. So is it not a full 1-year deal, right? I don't know that. So I'm not going to give my exact thoughts on Rudy Gay until I understand the contract. Is he officially a Warrior this season or not? So we'll drop that later. Let's talk about the Suns, though. The third leg of this trade that made this happen. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I don't like it. I don't like it because I think it's really made the Suns better. Obviously they're in our division. And, one of the contenders, they just got depth. They got so much depth that can help them. Okay, you send out Ayton, you bring back Nurkic, who we know is an injury concern, but is the polar opposite of Ayton, right? Tough, physical, plays big, right? Is going to give them just a huge physical presence, one that they were lacking, right? Then you get Grayson Allen, who was by way of Milwaukee. They lose him as well, who is underrated despite the hate. He's a nice player and will play a role, can play in playoff games, a nice versatile wing. Nasir Little another wing young defender who can play, certainly give you minutes. And then Keon Johnson's probably a little bit of a throw-in, but he's had a decent time with Portland after he left the Clippers. But the Suns just added a ton of depth. And then you could argue that Nurkic is a better fit for them than Ayton anyway. They get off Ayton's contract, right? And so, yeah, I'm excited about the potential of the Warriors somehow getting Drew, because I think that that would be a dream fit right now, even if it does cost some of the future. But I'm also concerned at how deep this Suns team is all of a sudden becoming, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess the last thing that I'll add is, with this move, I brought up Drew and them trying to send him elsewhere. What about Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant just signed a big deal. Are they going to look to move him and go all the way young? I don't know. Portland is an interesting team that is kind of reshifting the powers that be right now. Is Toronto still involved? Those are my initial thoughts. I don't love it for Milwaukee, but I understand it. I'm concerned about the Suns continuing to add depth, and I'm excited about the possibility of perhaps poaching Drew Holiday or Jeremy Grant off this Blazers team using Chris Paul's contract. I'll be back with another video talking about Rudy Gay and that situation. I want some clarification on that before I speak on that. It's an interesting move. Let me know how y'all are feeling. What's going down, man? And if you haven't already, please hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.